Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. My name is Melanie, and today we will discuss how you can protect Florida school zones with the new speed enforcement camera law. But before we start, I would like to talk to you about a little bit of housekeeping. So this webinar will take approximately 30 minutes. At the bottom of your screen, you can leave reactions throughout the presentation. On your right, you will see our chat box, Q&A box, and polls. Please use the chat if you have any comments. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type them into the question box. Our presenters will address them at the end of the presentation. If we will not have the time to get to your question, we will follow up with you via email. We will also have a poll during the presentation. You will be able to answer and see the poll results once it's closed. And lastly, the webinar is recorded. The recording will be sent to you shortly after the session ends. Now, without further ado, I will turn the stage to our presenters, Mark Copeland and Stacy Noto.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. I'd like to introduce today's presenters. My name is Stacy Noto, and I am the Senior Project Manager overseeing automated speed enforcement cameras in Florida. I have over 3 years experience in the municipal and HOA communities and with traffic calming. My colleague, Mark Copeland, is the VP of Strategic Accounts with over 15 years in law enforcement and 17 years in the traffic calming arena. Today's webinar agenda will include current state of speeding in the Florida school zones, navigating the new House Bill 657, the benefits of automated speed enforcement and warning cameras, building an effective speed reduction plan, and then a question and answer session at the end. A little bit about Traffic Logix, which is a division of Logix ITS. For over 2 decades, Traffic Logix has been helping to redefine road safety. From radar speed signs, rubber traffic calming, to our speed cameras, we are revolutionizing the way that cities protect their streets. We are the only company to offer multi-layer solutions that address multiple facets of safety. Our solutions slow vehicles down, making roads safer for pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, and passengers. Our mission is to save lives and build a better future, making roads across the world safer, one solution at a time. All Traffic Logix products, except for our modular rubber solutions, are connected 24/7, 365 to our proprietary cloud portal, Logix on Cloud. We have in excess of 35,000 connected products worldwide, and this is growing daily. The state of speeding in Florida school zones. Florida ranked 50th of all states for unsafe driving in school zones. 20 Florida school zones receiving an F in the driver behavior. In one example, 98% of cars were speeding outside of Florida schools. Florida has had the largest pedestrian fatality rate per 100,000 population last year. 8 people a day die in or on Florida roads. As of July 1st, House Bill 657 authorizes county or municipalities to enforce the speed limit in school zones through automated speed detection systems. You can provide for the issuance of traffic citations by automated speed devices. Drivers can be penalized for speeding 11 or more miles over the speed limit, and allows for photo enforcement during the times when school is in session, only with an additional 30-minute window at the start and conclusion of school times. It requires an advanced 30-day notification signage and public outreach. You need to provide photographs or video and evidence of speed that are admissible in proceedings. It prohibits points from being imposed against drivers' licenses and prohibits infractions from being used to increase insurance rates. Also, it provides funding to school crossing guards, recruitment and retention programs. Along with that, House Bill 766, enforcement of school bus passing infractions. The bill authorizes a school district to install and maintain school bus detection systems. which can be discussed at another time if you have any questions. I'd like to share with you our poll. In your experience, what has been the most common challenges in effectively enforcing speed limits in your school zones? If you could please take the time to choose one of the 4 answers, we would greatly appreciate it. At this time, I'd like to turn over our presentation to Mark Kuplin, VP of Strategic Accounts.
Good morning. Thank you, Stacey. As Stacey said, I've been in law enforcement for 15 years. I served in the Metropolitan Police in London, where I was a senior crash investigator. In my day, it was an accident investigator, a forensic vehicle examiner. So I spent more than my fair share of time dealing with fatal road traffic accidents. I've been with the company for 17 years in various positions, and I'm honoured to be the head of the Automated Speed Enforcement Division here at Logix ITS. As Stacey intimated, there are several benefits of automated speed enforcement and warning cameras. Some of them are just listed there. The biggest one for me, from a personal side, we really didn't have enough time to stand there at the side of the road with a LiDAR gun or a radar gun, and it was always in response to a resident's complaint, and there just wasn't enough time in the day to do that, and if you did do it, as soon as you'd gone, the problem was back again. So I've learned over the 33 years I've been in this industry, the number one, I don't care where you go in the world, you ask any police chief anywhere in the world what his number one form of residence complaint is, and it will tell you undoubtedly residents quit speeding up and down my road. It's number one, and it's the hardest one to dispose of and get rid of. So this is a big advantage because you've got a policeman or police officer on duty 24/7, 365. So it is a resource. It allows constant monitoring, and people know it's there, so they're going to slow down anyway. So that's the biggest one, time resource management, and actually the biggest one of all, you're actually reducing the speeds. From my experience and from my statistics as a crash investigator, I can tell you now, data released by the UK Department of Transportation, if you was to hit a child at 40 miles an hour, there's an 80% chance that child is going to die. You hit that same child at 30 miles an hour, there's an 80% chance of survival. So just 10 miles an hour is a huge swing in the likelihood of fatality or non-fatality. So that's a benefit that's there just by doing it. You also get the powerful data analytics of all the other vehicles which are going through, and your 85th percentile and all that kind of stuff. So it's a great public relations tool. Parents are more happy for the kids to be walking to school and crossing the road. In my day, there were no school buses. We all walked to school. Hail, wind or shine, we walk to school and we walk back home again. I know, but so what that does, if parents are not as happy for the kids to walk to school and not on the bus, they're driving them in cars and dropping them off and then doing the same thing 7 hours later. That's adding to traffic and parking problems and all things go with it. So there's several benefits that are hidden apart from the obvious to an automated speed enforcement system. We do have 2 types of cameras, the Enforcer Plus and the Enforcer. Both of them are total turnkey solutions, and we offer end-to-end automated tickets and warnings. I'll go into a little bit later, but it can be put the cameras in and one of our partners will do the whole thing for you, up to and including mailing tickets, receiving the funds, collecting the funds and disbursement of funds to the relevant entities that need to be paid on the back end of a ticket. Everything we do is web-based. Each of our piece of equipment has a SIM card and a cell modem inside of it, so you can adjust settings and see stuff directly from your workstation or your laptop or your tablet, because I say it's connected 24/7, 365, and as long as you have a computer of some description, a web browser of some description, and obviously some kind of data connection or internet connection, you can look at this stuff pretty much live. It's not totally live, Within about 15 to 25 seconds of the infraction, you can see this. And the beauty of our cameras, we don't use radar, we use a LiDAR. It's a 16 beam LiDAR, which is very similar. To put it, you'd have 16 handheld LiDAR units going down the road and covering multiple lanes. The beauty of the 16 beam LiDAR, it's not detectable by a radar detector because it's not radar. It can't be interfered with because it's not a radar wave. It's LED beams of light. And the biggest one is it can be lane definitive. It can see the lanes, if the left-hand lane or the right-hand lane. If the right-hand lane speed and the left one isn't, it detects that one, and vice versa. And the biggest one is if both of the vehicles are exceeding the speed, it will create 2 tickets simultaneously. With all of our cameras, we include IR night vision, so there's no large xenon flashes to blind the driver oncoming. As I said, it's 16 beam LiDAR. We capture from the rear of the vehicle, not from the front. And in Florida, a front plate license plate reader is totally useless because we don't have them. But also from the perspective of we're not invading into anybody's privacy. There's absolutely zero chance of seeing anybody, the ownership of the vehicle. There's no facial recognition anyway, but there's just not. It's just a non-starter conversation. We can, and we prefer to mount the equipment to any existing pole or post that you have as your street side furniture within the municipality, and we offer trailer and vehicle mounts as well. And the biggest one is you do have the option to choose your own ticket issuance service provider. What I mean by that, some municipalities like to do it themselves, and they do all the collections and the issuance and the fines. You can choose a partner of your own, or you can choose one of our approved partners. Unlike the inherent system now, where you actually go with a ticket issuance provider and they provide the equipment, and you're tied to them. No, you do have the choice. And I think the biggest difference with us over what other people do, we are the manufacturers of the camera equipment. We will sell that equipment to you directly. It's under a Sourcewell contract number, so it negates any need for RFPs, RFQs. You own the equipment. You're not paying expensive leases and per ticket revenues and the huge amount of costs which come into it. You own the equipment outright, and then you get the option to choose. You've got the freedom to do what you want to do. So it's not the one size fits all, because it certainly doesn't in this industry anymore. As I said, the Enforcer Plus cameras can be solar powered, and the only ones to be totally autonomous. And when I say that, we've got cameras up in the northern part of Ontario and Canada on solar panels, and they last all year. So in Florida, the Sunshine State, doesn't even concern me at all. It's as good as AC. But we can do AC hardwired should you wish to do so. The Enforcer Plus is already being utilised in several Florida projects, and they've gone live only a few weeks ago. So watch this space for further announcements. There was a CBS News article on a particular police department about 2 weeks ago. They was utilising the trailer system, which is solar assisted. Enforcer cameras, they're exactly the same as the Enforcer Plus. The biggest difference is you can use these for warnings where there's no financial penalty attached to it in any way. Works exactly the same way. It's just on a different bandwidth when it comes to transmitting the data and the resolution of the images, because it doesn't have to be open to the scrutiny that an enforcement ticket would. This is nice for those municipalities that I'm not sure whether I want to go into the speed enforcement side of it straight away, but I want to just see what kind of things I've got. And this allows you to go through the same system and issue a warning letter, purely as a warning. And then at some stage, 6-12 months later down the line, say, you know what, I need to start doing speed enforcement in the school zones, as Stacey mentioned. You don't have to buy new hardware. Doing stuff like we can upgrade the Enforcer Cam to an Enforcer Plus literally with a flick of a switch. This is nice, and also for the purpose of, for the bill actually says it's within allocated school times and 30 minutes before and 30 minutes afterwards. Well, people are still speeding up and down that road, outside of them times. This allows you to issue the warnings outside of those designated times. So this is a nice pre-entry to the system for somebody who's not wanting to go whole hog into it straight away. It's there and fully upgradable. Everything we spoke about applies. It's just it will be a warning letter rather than a violation notice. I just want to share with you an enforcer camera case study. This is in Mendota Heights Police Department in Minnesota. They've been doing this for 2 years, and they've been using the enforcer system for warnings because there is no legislation in the state of Minnesota currently to allow them to do violation notices. The data that they've got in the last 2 years, several state senators have taken this on board, and they're attempting to write legislation to do what Florida passed the law on July the 1st. So like every other police department, they had numerous residents' complaints, vehicles speeding up and down my road. They had high accident rates, and so they was very proactive and revolutionary, if that's the right word to say. Okay, we need to do something about this and identify the drivers. So they used the speed cameras as a warning notice, and the warning notice was either printed out and hand delivered to the resident, or it was sent in the mail when Emirates had been investigated. The chief there, a lady called Kelly McCarthy, if it was a really bad one, and she's had some really bad ones where people were doing nearly 3 times the speed limit, they were printed out and they were hand delivered by the lieutenant or the captain. And the resident response is absolutely tremendous, because 9 times out of 10 it's the children of the owner of the vehicle, and the mother and father has no idea what's going off. So if you ever speak to Kelly McCarthy, she's got several stories which she can relate on this. And what it also did for Kelly, it also gave her the force multiplier. So this guy's had 4 warning letters. It's always between 8 and 8:15 on a Friday. Okay, 5th Friday, I'm going to sit there about 5 minutes to 8. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and it's going to get written up the proper way when he's been detected via a handheld device or a vehicle's device. And the beauty of it is you've got a fantastic response from the community. Again, this was featured on CBS, and there's a news article which Stacey will share with you at the conclusion. And it's given her the force multiplier. She hasn't got enough policemen to be on all the roads all of the time. And she knows she's reduced speeds because they've measured the speeds. And the biggest part of what Kelly will tell you if you ever spoke to Chief McCarthy is it's not only the number of speeds, but the high end of the speeds has dramatically reduced. And she's been doing this for nearly 2 years now. So we'll send you all the links over at the conclusion. And please feel free to reach out to Kelly McCarthy. She did a case study for us. The news article's there, and Kelly would be more than happy to chat with you if you've got any usage questions and operational side of questions and how she uses it. Before I close off, I'm just going to show you what the cameras look like. On the left-hand side, this is our solar camera. You see the solar panel, the camera, the IR box, and the battery box below. This is in Golden Oaks on the Disney property. This is the entrance to the Four Seasons Hotel on the Disney property. The one on the right-hand side is the AC version, and you'll see the differences. There's no big battery box and there's no solar panel. That's in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Left-hand side is our trailer version. This is upstate New York. I think it's Fishkill, New York. Again, you see the trailer, the battery box, the control box, the IR, and the camera. And the one on the right-hand side is Winter Garden Police Department in Florida that I alluded to earlier. The difference is they've had a driver feedback sign mounted to the front of the trailer, so as the vehicle drives from left to right on the screen, it's telling the driver 500, 600, 700 feet up the road, 38, 39, 40, 17, whatever. So if you don't slow down as it passes the trailer, it gets the image from the rear. It takes the argument out of, oh, that's not fair. I didn't know how fast I was going. Yeah, you did. We've been telling you 400 feet down the road you was doing 37. So why are you surprised you've got a ticket for 37 in a 20? What surprises you? It's not required. It's not mandatory, but it's a great public relations tool. Certainly when it comes to data collection, because this is going to collect every vehicle from 4 miles an hour to 165 miles an hour. The camera's going to only activate at the trigger speed which you set, which in the state of Florida has to be +11. So again, the identical trailer is just we put a driver feedback sign, and this is also doubles up as a message board, so you can interactively talk to the driver. We can do emoticons on it, smiley faces, frowny faces. We can change the colour of the LEDs, so you're actively talking to the driver while he's driving along the road. This is the big one. How do I build an effective speed reduction plan? There are millions of answers to this. We are the only company which offers a multi-layer approach. And what I mean by that, with the manufacturers of cameras, driver feedback signs I've touched on, variable message boards, data collectors, and we've got video analytics for even intersection turns these days. They're all connected 24/7, 365. We do make a done product, which is our modular rubber speed tables and speed cushions. That's the only thing that's not got a sensor in there. Some people prefer, when they've done some kind of data analytics, that's the way they want to go. Winter Garden, as I previously mentioned, they've done both. They've got the cameras, they've got the signs, and they've also got modular rubber in certain stretches of roads as well. So some people hate them, some people love them, but they're a very, very effective way of calming your traffic. So a really good proactive approach is a mixture of all of the things that I've mentioned. And as well, if you put in the pre and post data collection, it justifies whatever actions you've taken. This is not a one size fits all option. This can be tailored to suit exactly your requirements and how you need to do it. But the ultimate goal, like I said, right from the get-go, it's about kids not getting run over. I've done more than my fair share of accident reconstruction and accident investigation, and one's enough for anybody. One is enough. If you Google roadside memorials and you look at the millions and millions and millions of images, I actually did it one day, and there's millions of images on Google. And if you think about every single one of those relates to at least one person being killed. And just by doing any of this, if you can just take one out of it, just one, then it's all worth it, in my opinion. And from my professional point of view, having been the other side of it, the sheer devastation, where the families that last for years and years and years. So I have no, in my opinion, there's no excuse for speeding outside of the school. There's no excuse for speeding anywhere. And today you've got all the distractions with impaired driving, illicit drugs, prescribed drugs, alcohol, distracted driving with texting, all the things that are out there, and you put speed into this as well at the same time, and it's a lethal concoction. And you saw from the statistics, Florida doesn't do well when it comes to fatalities. And I think the big one for me which stuck out, 8 people a day die on the roads in Florida. That's not acceptable. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank you for listening to our waffle this morning, our preamble. I hope you found it useful. As I said, we'll be reaching out to you at the end. Stacey will be sending you all the information, and you'll receive as much information. If you need to schedule a time with either myself and Stacey, more than happy to do it. We can do a Teams meeting. As I said, we both live in the Orlando area, so we're more than happy to arrange personal on-site visits for you as well. It's not a problem. I'll now go on to the Q&A, and we've had 3 from what I can see right now, so I'll read them out and I'll answer them. First one: if we have no legislation in place, what are our options? As I said, we've already touched on that, where the enforcer is there for warnings. You do not need legislation of any description. So hence the enforcer camera is legal in all 50 states, and that's how Florida used to be before July 1. Second one, we want to process our own fines. Can we do this? I've also touched on this. Absolutely you can. You do not have to partner with any ticket issuance agency. If you want to do this on your own, we will help you in any way. We will do API integrations, so you can pull the system into any kind of operating system you've got. You'd look the vehicle up through endlets, and then you do your own printing, issuing, and collections. That one you can do. And as I say, if you want to use one of our partners, they'll do that for you, or you can choose one of your own. We're totally agnostic when it comes to this side of it. And the last question I've got right now, if we choose to have one of your partners assist with the fines and issuance, what options would we have in regard to services included? That's a really good question. Basically, you can have as little or much as you want. And I'll give you two stark examples. I want them to do everything from the lookup to the printing, to the folding, to the putting in the envelope, to the franking, to the sending out, to the collection of the fines and disbursement of the funds. They can do that, the whole lot for you. On the flip side of it, I just want them to look up endless for me and print the ticket, and I want to do everything else. You can do that. Or you want to look up the endless registration and pass it to them, and you want them to do the printing and mailing, and you do the collections and stuff. You can do that. It's purely what you want to do. And as I said before, one size certainly doesn't fit all in this. If you've got any further questions afterwards, I say you're receiving an email from us, and we're more than happy to answer them on the phone, via email, or in person. It's not a problem. Lastly, before we sign off, there's contact information. As I said, Stacey will be sending you an email with all this on anyway. Visit our website at trafficlogix.com. There's our toll-free number. I think it's option 2 for sales. It's been a while since. I think it's either option 1 or option 2 for sales, but it's probably easy to contact Stacey direct on a cell phone number. I say we're both Florida residents. So I want to thank you on behalf of the executive team, the whole management staff of Traffic Logix, myself and Stacey. Thank you for joining us this morning, and wish you a safe and happy day. You take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.